it's the kind of premise that allows you to do incredibly creative things, but which I think could have easily fallen on its face. Like a less creative team, a less creative studio, you know, a studio that was like maybe more interested in the nostalgia, or like, I mean, gosh, I hate to make some of these comparisons, but like we're about to go into like Doctor Strange, like Multiverse of Madness, even Spider-Man, stuff like that, is like Spider-Man played all that stuff for nostalgia bait, right? And it worked, and it was cool, whatever, fine. But like this movie plays it for narrative significance and humor, frankly. Mm-hmm. Like there's an awful lot, like there's a universe where people just, for whatever reason, developed fingers that look like hot dogs and that act like hot dogs.
And they had a whole scene mocking Planet of the Apes where the opposable thumb apes lost to the hot dog finger apes.
The hot dog finger apes. And so like, millions of years ago, the hominids diverged, and the hot dog fingered ones won the evolutionary battle.
Right.
My gosh. It's insanity. And then of course later on we find out in that universe that's a universe where Evelyn and Jamie Lee Curtis's tax auditor character are in a relationship. And so they're like dancing with each other with hot dog fingers. I mean, there are things like that which are just so wild and inventive and insane. But when you have alternate universes and you really are taking it seriously, that you've got infinite possibilities, like it actually becomes a lot more like Rick and Morty's sort of like interdimensional cable, which is kind of where this goes to some extent. Like things get really, there's a universe where Joy and Evelyn, where life never developed on Earth, and they're just rocks sitting at the edge of a canyon and having a conversation in text on screen. It is so bonkers. And it's all about nihilism, and it's all about finding meaning. And like, if the universe is so vast, and if there are infinite versions, then what does any of this matter at all? Right. And like the whole scene with them as rocks is like, we're insignificant, and all science is going to do is show us some other newer way in which we're even more insignificant and have even less significance to the trajectory of the universe or multiple universes and whatever. And so the movie ultimately is really about like, how do you get rid of that sense of despair and anxiety that comes from this feeling that everything is overwhelming, but also nothing matters. And how do you find meaning in the life that you actually have? Like that's right. That's heavy, but it's really, really well done. So I don't know, man. Like, what are your, I don't know. Just take it from there. Like, what do you want to talk about? Man, there's just so much.
There's a lot to talk. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that this was a live action Rick and Morty, but the difference is that Rick and Morty, I enjoy it. Yeah, it's a great cartoon, but it's pretty one note. I think they fall on the side of everything doesn't matter. Yeah. And that's the joke. While this takes the complete opposite approach, where you reject nihilism, reject that you don't matter. Your choices, you made these choices for a reason, and life is in the end good and precious. And it's very refreshing in 2022. And we get asked questions all the time about different movies. Is it woke? Is it not woke? That's kind of what people want to know. And I think this is a rejection of our current culture, just flat out on its face. Our current culture is very nihilistic. It's nothing matters. You have no control over your life. If you're born this way, then you're going to be stuck in this situation for no fault of your own. And this absolutely rejects that. And it's not subtle. It's literally, like Sean says, in some scenes, text on screen about it. And it is, like I said, so refreshing. And I mean, it's funny, very fun. The scenes
it's
with
extremely funny.
With the award might have been the hardest I've laughed in years, but it's not just funny and not just slapstick. It is also deeply touching. And there was a point my wife makes fun of me because I don't cry. And it's just like, when I do cry, it's like, oh, I make a little face or something like that. I got to that point. It made me laugh and almost actually cry a human tear.